have on the panel, the board itself?
So for the public hearings conducted by yourself, and there's no there's no APC capacity or anything like that here. For planning staff, we got myself and Amy Needham and Kathy MacArthur here for you. And we don't have any members of the public in person, but we are expecting some to be attending online.
Okay, perfect. Then I will begin. Thank you very much, Alex. So I call this public hearing to order at 1901 or 701. I would like to recognize and appreciate that we're holding this hearing within the traditional territories of the Deschat and the Hebeshat First Nations, and connecting remotely across the traditional territories of the Nuchalith and the Coast Salish peoples. My name is Bob Beckett. I'm the director for the Bamfield electoral area. I'd like to introduce you to ACRD planning staff, Alex Dreyer, who just spoke, to planning manager, Amy Needham, and junior planner, and Kathy MacArthur, planning assistant. So welcome staff, and thank you for facilitating this and coordinating this tonight. This hearing is being held in the ACRD boardroom and electronically by Zoom. It is being recorded and it is live streaming on the ACRD website. Would staff please provide directions and instructions on how to participate in this hearing?
Thank you, Director Brett. Happy to do so. So first of all, thank you to those that are participating with us here tonight. If you're watching the live stream on the website and wish to join the meeting, the details on how to connect can be found in the Zoom meeting invite document link on the public hearing page. We have staff participating, as you heard, from the ACRD boardroom, and then online participants through the Zoom webinar as well. We just want to quickly start by highlighting some of the tools in Zoom that will help you participate and help our process run smoothly. So if you are participating online, you have the option to turn on or off your video, or to mute or unmute your audio so people can see you and hear you. These controls are on the bottom left of your screen if you're using a computer, on the top right if you're using a tablet or a phone. We just ask that you keep your audio muted at all times unless you are going to speak, to reduce the background noise in our meeting and to allow everybody to hear the presentations that are made. There will be an opportunity to speak after staff introduce the application, and the applicants have an opportunity to provide their comments. So when the chair calls upon members of the public to comment on the bylaw, we ask that you either put your hand up or call out that you would like to speak. Once you've been recognized by the chair, we would ask that you give your name and address, followed by your questions or comments. And I will also highlight there is a chat feature access from the controls on your screen if you would like to make a comment or ask a question at any time. Certainly encourage you to do so. Staff will be monitoring this, and all comments will be addressed during the public hearing. So feel free to add anything in there if you're thinking of it as we move along. There will be a final opportunity prior to the end of the public hearing to ask any final questions or make any final comments on the bylaw. And I think that's it for me. I'll pass it back to you, Bob. Thank you.
Thank you, Alex. The subject of this hearing is bylaw P1453. This bylaw is applicable to 275 Bamfield Boardwalk and is necessary in order to construct a main residence and up to 4 cottages. If you have questions or comments about any other unrelated topic, I would ask that you contact the regional district staff after this hearing has been terminated. Would staff now read out the notice of public hearing, please?
Okay, thank you. The public hearing for residents and property owners within electoral area A, Bamfield, has been scheduled to consider bylaw P1453. Hearing details Thursday, February 23rd, 2023 at 7 p.m. Public hearing for bylaw P1453, 275 Bamfield Boardwalk, ISE Building Incorporated, property owner. Electronic call-in or in-person attendance at the Alberni Blackout Regional District Office, 3008 Fifth Avenue, Port Alberni, BC. Bylaw P1453 is a zoning atlas amendment bylaw to rezone the upland portion of Lot A, Section 19, Township 1, Barclay District, Plan VIP 87491, from acreage residential RA2 district to cottage residential RC1 district in order to construct a main residence and up to 4 cottages. The public hearing will be held by the director for electoral area A, the alternate director, or the chairperson of the regional district. The board resolution making this delegation, bylaw P 1453, and all relevant background documents are available for review in the ACRD office or online at www.acrd.bc.ca/events/23-2-2023. This public hearing will be recorded and live streamed on the ACRD website. Now, planning staff are available to answer questions in person, through email, or by phone during regular office hours, 8 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. Monday through Friday, from February 8th, 2023, February 23rd, 2023, excluding statutory holidays. Now, anyone who feels their interest in property will be affected by the proposed bylaw will be afforded a reasonable opportunity to be heard. If you wish to participate in the public hearing in person, electronically, or by phone, full instructions to do so are available online at www.acrd.bc.ca/events/23-2-2023, or can be provided by contacting planning staff by email at planning@acrd.bc.ca or by phone at 250-720-2700. The public hearing will be conducted from the ACRD office located at 3008 10th Avenue, Port Alberni, BC. Written correspondence can be submitted to the ACRD by one of the following methods: hard copy delivered to the ACRD office by in person or by mail, email sent to planning at acrd.bc.ca, or a fax sent to 250-723-1327. Email or fax correspondence will only be considered received if receipt confirmation is provided by ACRD staff. Written submissions provided in advance of the public hearing must be received by the ACRD no earlier than 8 a.m. on February 8th, 2023, and no later than 4 p.m. on February 23rd, 2023, to ensure their inclusion in the public record. Correspondence submitted ahead of the public hearing outside of these parameters will not be included. And I'll pass it back to you, Bob. Thank you.
Thank you. The purpose of the public hearing is to receive input, written and verbal, from any person who believes that their interest in property is affected by the bylaw. The board of directors will receive full minutes of this hearing before voting on the bylaw. Staff are taking minutes that summarize the issues raised. Please speak clearly to ensure accuracy. Would staff please introduce the proposal?
Okay, happy to. So we will start with the agency referrals and public correspondence on this proposal. The agency referral responses received noted that their interests were unaffected or recommended that the rezoning application be approved subject to conditions outlined in the responses. Copies of the agency referral responses are available for public review here in the boardroom, although we have no members of the public here in attendance with us, and they are also linked on the ACRD website and will be part of the public hearing report that will be considered by the board. There was one piece of correspondence received from the public ahead of the public hearing, which entails email correspondence between a member of the public and staff. The correspondence asked clarifying questions about the cottage residential RC1 district zoning and the number of units permitted on the site based on the lot size and whether or not the property was to be subdivided following rezoning. Now, copies of that correspondence is also available online on the ACRD website and will form part of the public hearing report considered by the board. So the applicant's proposal that we're dealing with here tonight, the property owners are applying to rezone the upland portion of the 0.8 hectare or 2 acre property west of Capefield Trail from acreage residential RA2 district to the cottage residential RC1 district in order to construct a main residence, and their intention to build up to 3 cabins on the property located at 275 Bamfield Boardwalk. The upland portion of the property is approximately 0.485 of a hectare or 1.2 acres in lot area and currently undeveloped as it is. The property owners would subdivide the upland parcel off the commercial zoned waterfront portion of the property, which is approximately 0.32 of an acre or 0.32 of a hectare, 0.8 of an acre in lot area. And that portion of the property is currently developed for commercial uses, and that is where the Bamfield Lodge and the Bamfield Wreckage restaurant are located. The RC1 district zoning permits 1 single family dwelling and up to 4 cottages based on the site density of 1 unit per 0.1 of a hectare of parcel area. A copy of the permitted uses in the RC1 district is available for review by the board and the public link on the ACRD website as well, if you'd like to have a look at that. The upland portion of the property to be rezoned to RC1 district would be approximately 0.48 of a hectare, as you heard, once subdivided, which would support up to 1 single family dwelling and in that case, up to 3 cottages based on that maximum site density. The cottages would be limited to between 300 and 500 square feet of floor area on the main level. The cottages are intended to be occupied on a short-term temporary basis by visitors and seasonal workers based on the definition that we have in the current zoning bylaw for that. I will also note that the regional district is not the approving authority for subdivision and cannot control whether the property is subdivided as a condition of rezoning. The zoning bylaw establishes the permitted uses and the conditions of use in a zone and the Ministry of Transportation is the approving authority for subdivision. So based on the current units located on the parent property that have been identified through the our site visits and the letters received from the public, there would be limitations to what the applicants could construct on the RC1 district side if the upland property were not to be subdivided from the waterfront portion of the property. So we'll ask the applicants to explain their intentions when we get to that. And then the last thing I want to highlight is the conditions of rezoning approval that the board applied to this when the bylaw was considered for first reading. These include the approval of a suitable parking plan for access to off-street parking facilities in East Bamfield for residents and guests of the property. The applicants have provided the regional district with a copy of a signed agreement, a parking lease agreement they have with a property owner on the east side of Bamfield that would allow them to use up to 5 parking spaces on a private property that is zoned for parking. Another condition was meeting all servicing requirements for connection to the Bamfield water system. I will highlight that the applicants engaged Coors Engineering to prepare a water model analysis for the proposed development. Coors Engineering is the firm that helps with the capacity and servicing design for the Bamfield water system. That analysis found that there is capacity within the water system to add the additional water connections required for development and meet the peak demands and flows required within the system. So if the development proceeds and they go to build the house and the cottages, the applicants will be required to pay the development cost charges, the connection fees, and any upgrades required to the water system at that time. And finally, the last condition was confirmation from a registered on-site wastewater practitioner that the property is capable of accommodating on-site sewage disposal for the proposed cottage residential development. The applicants have submitted a letter from a wastewater professional. It's dated January 9th, and that letter provides assurance that the property is suitable for on-site wastewater treatment for 1 house and up to 3 cottages. And copies of that letter are available here and again linked on the ACRE website and will be included with the public hearing minutes considered by the board. And I think that's going to be it for me, and we'll pass it back to you, Bob, and we'll go from there. Thanks.
Thanks very much, Alex. So at this point in time, would the applicant or applicants like to add anything with respect to your proposed development? And you're muted, I think, Matt.
You're muted, Matt. Sorry.
Sorry, that's not the first time I've done that. Thanks very much, Bob. For the most part, Alex covered our intention. I just wanted to share a little bit about the business of Bamfield Lodge. ISC has owned the property for approximately 2 years now. And the Bamfield Lodge on the eastern portion of the property has been quite large. We currently have a 90-foot dock on the waterfront inside water lot number 730. And our intention would be to have 3 cottages built for short-term rentals for possibly tourism. We have quite a few other contributors to the GDP in Bamfield. We have some small businesses that do aquaculture in Bamfield that are quite busy and looking for accommodation for staff, temporary staff accommodation as it ebbs and flows throughout the season, and possibly students that are Bamfield, like a lot of municipalities and small towns, have a shortage of housing, and we will be able to provide quite a few different levels of people accommodation. And the long-term house would be the larger house, the single family dwelling on the property would be available to longer term rental and possibly a caretaker. And there would be some employment opportunities provided to Bamfield residents, being able to clean and maintain the larger development if we were successful in the rezoning application.
Great. Thank you very much, Matt. We will now hear from members of the public. Please wait until you've been recognized by me and state your name and address before beginning. We will hear everyone wishing to speak for the first time before allowing second comments. Is there anyone from the public that would like to speak? I'll ask that just a second time. And perhaps, Alex, you can clarify. We have no one else join on Zoom, I assume. So
we do have one. We have one member of the public attending on the webinar, and they're able to unmute themselves. I believe that's Christine Payton. Do you have any questions, Christine?
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, the only reason I'm muted is I'm not at home. I've had another conflicting meeting, but I didn't want to miss this. So I'm kind of trying to be quiet. And there's a whole bunch of noise in the background that I don't want you to hear. So I'm just kind of watching.
Okay, that's fine. Can we just, can we grab your address as well, Christine?
Oh, my where I live?
Yes.
1560 Cowichan Bay Road.
Great, thank you very much.
It's in Cowichan Bay.
thank you very much for joining in, Christine. As we have no public participation or questions, I'll move on to would staff and or obviously there's no reason for Matt to respond, given that there was no input from the public. Staff, any additional comments at this point in time?
No, I'd like to, I'd like to thank everybody for joining. We do have a couple other members of the public, John and Glenn as well. If you'd like to say anything, you're welcome to do so. But just to highlight that there has been some discussion about subdivision of the property, and maybe just a clarification. Matt, you may have said it, I may have missed it, but a clarification whether the intention is to subdivide that upland portion off the main parcel.
Great question, Alex. There's no intention as of this point or in the near future of any subdivision. We believe that having dock space and access to the waterfront is critical, and we'd like to keep the property parcel together.
Okay.
Thanks, Matt. Please be advised that members of the board of directors cannot.
Can I comment on that?
Certainly, we'll go back. Go ahead, Christine.
Oh, you just muted yourself, Christine. See if I can help you there. Great, we can hear you now.
Can I say something about that?
Yes,
Yes, go ahead, Christine.
Can you hear us, Christine? Feel free to make a comment if you
I can't hear anything.
Can't hear us anymore? So while Christine works through that, I'd just like to comment on the subdivision aspect of it, because it is unique in that the zoning limits the number of cottages to the parcel area, and so that would incorporate if the whole property, if the whole 2-acre parcel remains unsubdivided, then any unit, whether it's a single family dwelling or a cottage is located on the waterfront side, would count towards the maximum site density, which is 1 house and then up to 4 cottages. So that would be something to consider, at the building permit stage, if you have capacity, I believe you do now, to add a couple cottages, you might not. The maximum build out might be affected by the the fact that there are some existing buildings on the east side of the property, and you might be able to develop an additional cottage and possibly an additional house if you were to subdivide off that west chunk. Just a comment on that.
Christine, are you able to hear us now?
Yeah, I am now.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted to say, from the way I've read the zoning for the RC cottage, you can only have 5 on a legal parcel. And so right now, the way the property is, that's one legal parcel. There's already a residence and a couple of cottages, so those buildings have to be included in the 5. So that would mean the west portion, the 1.2 acres, wouldn't be able to have the single family residence and 3 or 4 cottages. So that's why I was asking if that was going to be subdivided off, because that actually makes it possible for you to do what you want to do.
Alex, do you mind responding, please?
Yeah, no, I mean, that's essentially what I was trying to highlight as well, that if there are cottages on that east side of the property, the way the RC1 district zoning works is it looks at the entire parcel area. So if there's existing uses on one half of the parcel, we have to consider that when looking at a building permit for the other portion. If there is the zoning would allow for subdivision, and there's always things that the property owner can do, especially if they own the same property, if they wanted to secure access to the waterfront or end to the dock by a covenant, for example, or an easement that they would essentially be agreeing with themselves prior to doing that. There are options to do that, and staff can help the applicants look at what those best options would look like if the rezoning proceeds and if the development proceeds.
Thank you, Alex. Christine, any follow up to that?
That seems to be pretty much the only option, is to have that parcel divided off and then like do some sort of a register or something on title that says that it has it has access to the waterfront. There's all sorts of, you can register all sorts of things on title to make that possible. So it's not like if you subdivided that section off in order to build that 5 units, it's you're not sort of what's the word I'm looking for, losing that right. Because it's just that the way the zoning that you're going for won't allow you to do what you want to do if that stays as one parcel.
Thank you, Christine. I will highlight that I saw John waving your hand. I don't know if you wanted to make a comment, John. And back to you, Jim. Sorry.
Sure, that's great. Just before we go to John, Christine, can I get you to mute? There's there is some feedback, but thank you for your comments. And yes, let's go to John, please.
Sorry, guess I was nodding my head. I didn't realize it was. It seemed to me that Christine was not understanding what you were explaining. So I won't get into that. It just seemed that she had a misunderstanding there. She thought it was beneficial to subdivide. I did have one question. If we're done with Christine, if not, go back to Christine. I just did have one question, and it's been chatter around town, of course, and people aren't even bothered to show up for the meeting. That why this wouldn't be zoned commercial with it connected to or part of a commercial property existing now in tourist commercial. And I'm assuming you're going to rent out some of this nightly. Just why wouldn't it be a commercial zoning?
So I'd be happy to comment on that first, Matt, if you'd like, and I'll go to you. The cottage residential zoning is a residential focused zoning that's actually supported in the residential use designation in the OCP, and there's a policy in there that supports cottages as an accessory use to single family residential. So what that zone essentially means is you have to have your single family dwelling first. Once you do that, then you have the additional ability to build these small residential, or sorry, small rental cottages. So the intent is that that zone is residential focused. And then I'll also highlight that the official community plan for this property had the east half of the property designated as commercial use, and then the west half was residential use already. So if they were to rezone to a commercial use, like a motel hotel type of zone, there would be an OCP amendment that would be associated with that. But I see you're unmuted, Matt, and I don't want to answer that question for you if you're not happy.
I think you mostly got it there, Alex. I think for us, we felt that going from RA1 to a commercial zoning, a C2 or a C6 would be a big jump from RA1 to a commercial zoning. And also just looking at the layout of West Bamfield and everything east of the Cape Beale Trail, we tried to kind of follow how Bamfield and West Bamfield's laid out. And there is quite a few properties that already have commercial or just residential on the west side of Cape Beale Trail. And then the east side, there's a few parcels within a mile or two that are RC zoning. And we also felt that the uniqueness of the property, it was nice to be able to have the option to keep it in RC zoning with the forest and the trees and the little bit of the forest area and backed onto the community forest.
Great, thanks, Matt. It's appreciated. I expect that was the situation, and we don't need commercial on that side of the road ideally, but just wondered why.
Yeah, great question. Thanks, John.
Good. Thanks, John. Any further comments, Alex, based on what Matt just contributed?
Not by me, thank you. I appreciate that.
Okay. All right, so I'm going to go back to the statement that I had started to read. Please be advised that members of the board of directors cannot receive new information related to this bylaw between the end of this hearing and making a final decision on the bylaw. If any board member does so, the hearing could be invalidated and would have to be held again. So with that in mind, does anyone have any final comments?
I do.
Go ahead, Christine, please.
I just wondered if the emails that I've sent to Alex are going to be included.
Yes, they are, and we had mentioned that at the beginning of the meeting. But thank you for that. We do have them available on the website right now, and they will form a part of the minutes that will be reviewed by the board next meeting. So
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Christine. I'll call for the first time for any further representations on the bylaw. I'll call for the second time for any further representations on the bylaw. And I'll call for the third time for any further representations on the bylaw. Hearing no further comments, I declare this meeting terminated. And again, I thank Matt for your presentations tonight, for staff being here and helping me through this as always, and to Glenn, John, and Christine for joining in on Zoom with us tonight. Enjoy the rest of the evening. Be careful this weekend with the snow that may be coming.